Welcome to Environmental Station Alpha, the demo. I'm Chaotic Law, and I'm here to show off this demo, which was released to the public today, although it might be slightly later, depending on when this video gets out. And I have basically run through the entire game. Well, this demo. And it's basically a Metroidvania, brought to us by a guy named Hempuli. Pretty simple story, pretty simple structure. And of course, we're sending robots. Because, why not? Least risk, maximum benefit, I guess. So yeah, I've basically started the game and finished it. Not much to show you off here. You know, you've got your controls, you've got your sound, your music, your resolutions. Most of the stuff you'd expect from a multimedia fusion game. It looks pretty neat. Only complaint I've really got is that it's actually, well, it shouldn't be a complaint, it's actually pretty challenging even though I've had a go at it. And you know how I am with Super Metroid, as you would have seen if you've seen any of my previous videos. So yeah, let's just hop on in and start up a new game. This is what a completed save file will look like, at least for the demo, and it has kicked me back to the main area. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not. Let's get started. So yeah, first things first, we're a robot, we're flying in from space to handle a station which has been abandoned for a number of decades. Nice to hear that. It sounds like a car just stopping. And I think this is kind of nudges at the idea that, yes, this is a demo. Rescue any equipment you can find and return. Now, I'm not sure if it was if this was in reference to this particular demo, or whether it's just a subsection of the full game. Much like the AM2R project with its Substance demo or whatever. Which is like a simulator for Samus. This is a scale test for us to run around in. This is one of the save capsules. You'll restore your health. And it will basically save your progress and heal you. And as you saw just then, I picked up a health capsule. Most people, you probably won't notice it until the very end of the game when you're just wandering around. We have this kind of laser-like sword, which kind of differentiates it from all the others. I mean, there's not much range, and it's pretty weak. But, yeah, it works. You can aim 4 directions, no diagonals, so it kind of feels a bit like a NES era kind of game, although the music seems to suggest something towards the Genesis era. But that's the kind of vibe I'm feeling from it. And I get hit by one of those spiked dudes. Ah. This one's a biggie. Gas has a jump booster, which is essentially a double jump. Of course, it only lets you do a double jump if you've already done the first jump, and it won't recharge over time. So yeah, let's just go this way and avoid the side hoppers. And these are one-way blocks, you can only jump up through them, not down through them, kind of like your scroll blocks in Super Metroid. If you know the map editing terminology. And of course you have atomic style a lot faster, although they're more closer to the lettuce leaves, as Metroid MST tends to call them, since they can fly through walls and don't have to worry about colliding with things. So yeah, just jumping through the station now that we have the jump boost. We'll just head this way first. And first off we have the jungle-like area. And of course this, what Metroid wasn't really known for was its use of traps, which is so it's done here. And this feels kind of unusual, really. It's a bit like the Chozo Ruins from, say, Super Zero Mission. Or Zero Mission, I mean. Super Zero Mission being a ROM hack. We have poisonous water, but only if you go too deep. And we have spiked plants, which shoot at us. Or fish. And this here is an energy recharge station. No saving, but you'll recharge your energy whenever you need it. These worms feel like something out of Metroid 2, because that was the one place where they dropped out from the ceiling in the opening caverns or whatever. Sorry I can't be of much help since I am doing this live. Except not live streaming, just live. I did a live stream recently, it's of Super Metroid, you should go watch it at some point, but that's a different matter altogether. So here's another save point. These feel slightly more like dirt caverns. We have the fun that is trying to jump through everything. And this is the one point in time where you actually see blocks, just meant for plain shooting rather than anything else. And I have lost so much health in that short amount of time. Thankfully we've handled that. So yeah, we now have the hook shot. And it causes a event trigger to happen. And we receive a message even though they said that we wouldn't be able to contact you if anything happens. That might just be a little oversight. So yeah, now that we have the hook shot, we can get out. Although, falling down is not the way to do it. The intended solution is to hook shot across the ceiling. It's kind of similar to, I can't remember what that game was, but it was a homebrew game which was ported from a Flash game, which had a hook shot essentially, and that was all you had. There we go. Now, this is the map screen. You can take a closer look at the map here, and you can see the save areas all there, including your ship, and where we found that health capsule. It will expand as it goes on, but it's pretty small for the most part. Ow. That was not helpful. So yeah, machinery collapsed down here, back where we got our jump boost. And because of it, we can't go back the same way we entered through. And for some reason, the blocks we were able to shoot can't be shot anymore. Oh well. So yeah, kind of like forced backtracking, but it's nothing to be too mindful of. After all, this is fairly small. It's quite enjoyable though, although it's also very tough. So yeah, now it's time to go left. So yeah, this place does resemble quite a bit like Brinstar of the original Metroid. Although it is a lot less repetitive. And as you can see there, I can use the hook shot with the jump boost. Over here, we have that guy who always explodes and causes damage. And if I just take a look at this here, we can take a look at the status and we can enable our jump booster and our hook shot whenever we feel like turning it on and off. So if I was to show you the hook shot, try and get across without the hook shot, I wouldn't be able to get up there, but since I actually do have it, might as well enable that. We can actually go up. Jump boost and all. This way is just a save point. Looks pretty nice. There's lots of glittery stones there too. I wonder how they're visible. Over this way, we get to the heated area. A little heated area. There's a bit of falling debris here as well, so it's something to watch out for. As you can see. These red lettuce leaves sure like to explode. As you can see, lava, not good. Also falling trash. And with that we have the charge shot. Of course they still explode as always. And those hurt, of course. Thankfully we have a save point, which doubles his recovery. It hurts even if you jump on top of them, which is a little bit of an odd thing, considering, well, it's pretty static and doesn't intentionally want to damage you. But I guess it's just the general heat of this area. We have flame pillars, we have bugs that curl up into balls when they get hurt. I guess this is just like a small sampler for what you might expect. Anyway, the only way out is through this way. And as you can see, the charge shot took out those large guys quite a bit easier. I'm not too used to all the mechanics, but as you can see, doing alright. And that is a switch, which will activate the way out. And will just bring us back to the start of the area. So yeah, that's that. And we just exit through that tube that we weren't able to get up before. So yeah, let's just save again and keep running along. I keep forgetting that I've mapped it to a controller. Over here we have these air tubes and some worms, which is quite similar to the worms that I actually saw in a game called Heart of Darkness, which is a really vicious game, just judging from the video and how many deaths there were. Pretty gruesome stuff. But anyway, we're actually pretty close towards the end of the game now. Use your charge shot just to blast through these armored machines, since they can't actually take damage from a regular shot. I worded there for a second. This is one of the more tougher sections, as you will see shortly. This is the first part, which is just simple hook shot puzzles. And as you can see, how far away you are from the block determines how much air you get from it. And this is one of those guys. And over here we see these blocks which you cannot hook shot, so you have to rely on these air chutes. And I'm gonna get myself killed, aren't I? Oh well. Yeah, this last part's a bit tough. But provided you can run around them long enough, of course chat, you can't. Of course. Game over! Pretty easy enough to resume progress though. So let's just load ourselves back in. It's running a very funny frame rate. It's 55. Now it's just a matter of getting across this area. At first I thought those shining blocks up there were actually meant to damage you, but apparently not. Of course, those amoeba looking like things do cause damage. They're a bit of a cluster really. The red one causes ongoing damage, whereas the blue one automatically does damage. Well, the blue one just gives you damage. And this is the boss of this demo. And as you can see, 3 parts to this boss, although you can only ever go after one. And I'm not doing great. Nearly half health, I'm nearly dead, so let's see if I can do the rest of this boss. And now we're in the second phase, it will actually start shooting stuff at us when it lands. You will need to listen out for the audio cues. And I died. You get the gist of this one. First time through, really tough. So load in once again and take on the boss again. As you can see, some screens have a transition, others don't. Charge shot seems to be pretty effective, so that's what I go for, generally. If there's any degree of randomness, it's those spawns. Watch out for the stomp attack, by the way. There we go. There we go, nearly done. And only 2 health lost. Yes, I do know what I'm doing. And there you have it. And that is Environmental Station Alpha, the demo. So yeah, that's basically everything of this game. But there is one more thing to be done in this game, and that is if you become someone like me who wants to see everything there is in the demo, and just goes through everything. The first of all, the credits. I am quite looking forward to this release. Despite it being very much different compared to the likes of Super Metroid and Castlevania, I guess. Although, to be honest, I haven't played Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which is known as probably one of the best Metroidvanias, or so people say. It will release one day, but first it has to make it to Steam Greenlight. And by make it to, I mean make it past it, and then also get released. That queue was really back there. So yeah, 13 minutes and 93 seconds. This doesn't include death times or anything of the sort, which means it isn't too accurate in terms of speed time, so wish it would have saved every time you died. That way it'd actually have a reason not to. So yeah, that's that. So if we just return to it. You might be thinking, those blocks look like they can be shot. And they can be, and they'll lead you back to the forest area. Of course it does put you in amongst a lot of enemies. So yeah. Watch for the enemies. Make sure keep healing yourself if you can. This game is really unforgiving. And I'm glad for that. That hurt a little. I mean, you can't expect to be good instantly. So we'll head back into this main area. We'll just head on down. And we'll head back this way, to the main area. I haven't shown you off this terminal, but basically just tells you, save your progress with that. So we grabbed the health capsule here already. You can't actually return to the ship to leave at this point in time, but as you can see, we can actually use the hook shot up on the ceiling above us. And as you can see, we can go all the way to the other side of this map. So if we go down here, we get this terminal. And this is the message. And of course it has a little message for us, although it won't actually help at this point in time. Also, there's no way to actually get off here. As much as you can hookshot here, you end up generally most of the time falling off and dying. So yeah, that was Environmental Station Alpha, the demo. I'm very much looking forward to it in the coming months, hopefully. There are some high expectations of this game, and having played this, I think it'll be a good one. So I'm Cataclaw, and you've been watching Environmental Station Alpha. I've no idea how many times I've dropped that name, but that is that. We'll see you next time, for whatever game that is coming next. Take care.